Hi, I'm Sonya Ward, and today I'd like to discuss the outcome of the George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin trial. While George Zimmerman received a verdict of not guilty, in my mind's eye, that translates to Trayvon Martin receiving a verdict of guilty, because the entire time it appeared more like Trayvon was on trial and that George Zimmerman was actually there as some kind of victim. I've even heard, it said that, hey, George is the victim here. He's the one that was victimized. Look at his life. Look at how they used him to make a hate campaign. And I just shake my head and I say to myself, clever. Many times we need to understand that the law that has been set in place is set in place not to help you, not to protect you, but to protect those who desire to do hateful and criminal acts towards you so that they can get away with it. And we have the opportunity to be heard when it's time to vote. And so I certainly hope that you guys will all understand that when I say God stores treasures in jars of clay, that's exactly what has taken place here. There are so many treasures in the life and the legacy of Trayvon Martin. There is going to be a world change as a result of what has happened to this young man's life during this trial and after. My heart goes out to his family. I pray for incomprehensible peace. Peace, peace, peace be with you as you move forward to carry out your son's life and legacy. It is a very sad and hurtful outcome. Murder is murder. They say his brother Robert Zimmerman said, "My brother is not a murderer," and that was evidence in the court of law. Well, we all understand something. What is law? Law is something that is written, and oftentimes we find there are loopholes in the law that was written, and the law has to be rewritten to better express protection and justice for the people. And so I am hopeful that the law that says that you can stand your ground and take the life of an innocent victim and get away with it will be abolished, because it is absurd. It's ludicrous. This young man, let's just say this. They wanted to prove that he was the aggressor. They wanted to prove that he had the better of George Zimmerman and that he was on top and he was winning in a physical altercation between the two. They wanted to illustrate that he wasn't, a thin young man, but muscular and strong. Well, I have a 13-year-old son. He's scrawny right now, but he's getting stronger by the moments, He's exercising and doing push-ups and working on his physical posture and his countenance, and his little arms are starting to take shape, and I'm sure he'll be excited when he has a little muscle on him on his chest and everything. Should that be a sin? Should that be held against him if someone decides that they want to take advantage of him because they know that they have an upper hand and that they are armed and dangerous? And then because he has grown from a child into a teenager that has a strong countenance, does that mean that that should be held against him? If someone follows him and attacks him, or follows him and approaches him, and they are not, in uniform, or can properly identify that they are who they say they are, if he even said that, does that then mean that he has to, just accept what is said to him? If this man followed him, he should have become afraid and concerned. If this man tried to stop him from leaving until the police got there, he wanted to hold a young man without cause. He was doing nothing wrong. He'd gone to the store during halftime, and he went to get a drink and some candy, some Skittles, and return home where he could return to watching the game. Why does he have to be stopped in the process like some criminal-minded individual? He was profiled. Okay, they don't want to say that he was racially profiled, but George Zimmerman called in and he said, there is a suspicious looking black male walking around my neighborhood. Do you want me to go after him? No, don't. Don't go after him. We're on our way. That means that he went after him, because they would have never come together from his car if he didn't pursue him and go after him. So he knew all along that he was going to get this one this time. That he was going to get this one this time. He was not going to be another punk that gets away. You know? So he exercised authority that he hadn't rightfully earned. You know? Would it be right for a doctor to operate on you that doesn't have a license? Or a lawyer to present a case that hasn't passed the bar? Would it be right for a citizen to make an arrest when you're not doing anything wrong? I understand that there are citizens arrests, but you're not doing anything wrong. What are you arresting me for? He exercised authority that he didn't have the right to exercise. So, you know, my thing is that I do believe that there's something very, very, very special about Trayvon. And I think there's a treasure in his life and in his legacy. God stores treasures in jars of clay, and this time it was stored in Trayvon for world change, to make a difference. And I hope we're all paying attention to that, because this entire process has weighed on the minds and hearts of so many citizens of the United States that watch, both black and white. I heard a woman call in during an interview, and she said that she, was ashamed to be a white woman. Well, I say to her, you know, don't be ashamed, because you are not who they are. You know, it's not a matter of black and white. When we understand as children of God, as believers, those who have a heart after God's will for their life, we are different. We have no color. It doesn't mean that others will not be prejudiced and hold our color against us or between us. But we have no color. We are children of God. And so I really, want to say that so many have been impacted by this. Case in point, my son has hoodies. Every single time he puts it on, his father demands that he takes it down. Don't you realize that that's horrible? Why can't he wear his hood? Why not? Since when did a hoodie become something that would make you appear as a criminal? It's just not right. So now my son gets all, annoyed and takes it down. He's not happy. He has to listen to what his father says, but his father fears that if you wear it in my presence, you'll wear it outside of my presence, and if I'm not with you to protect you, I don't know what can happen. And so he's trying to condition him to get away from wearing hoodies, because it may cost you your life, as it did Trayvon. He was criminally profiled based on what he was wearing. My father called this morning, and I just love talking to him. He's got great wisdom, and he called me. He says, Sonia, I want you to have a talk with Silva. I'm worried about my grandson, and we live in a different world. He said when he came up, born in 1939, it was different. He understood racism. He lived through it. It was very clear. But today, it's, many people hide behind what's truly in their hearts, and, there's so much danger out there, and he needs to understand that he can't just walk around anywhere at night. He's searching. That's not happening yet. But my father wants me to prepare him to understand that you just don't know what someone has in store for you, to be careful with yourself. He's so worried. The first thing he did was he woke up and called me to have me have a talk with my son. And I'm going to do that. And I may share that conversation with you, because I look at my son and all of his dreams for life, and all of his zeal for life, his excitement, the things that he wants to do, his heart when he's being kind to me and doing nice things for me. And, sometimes he'll just come and rub my shoulder, and it's just at the time that I needed it, just a wonderful little boy. And I think to myself, I think about Mrs. Martin and Tracy Martin, and I say, my God, the pain and the anguish, they must be going through. I have a friend who lost her son to gun violence. in Charlotte, North Carolina, and you know, the pain and this, you know, she's mourning, and rightfully so. It's so painful and hurtful, and to just know that someone can do that to your child and get away with it is discouraging. It's disappointing. It's disheartening. You know, one of my good friends, she's a friend on social network, but she's a friend before that, Tracy Lynn rather, she says, it makes you want to give up. Tracy, don't give up. Tracy Lynn, don't give up. People who feel the same way, don't give up. God stores treasures in jars of clay. And just maybe, God's being God with his wisdom, his infinite wisdom, just maybe, the verdict is exactly as he would have it. You need to know the truth. You understand that? The truth about where things are, so that we are clear that we need to raise up children that become educated and versed and that have support systems so that they believe in their ideas and their concepts and their dreams, so that they can make differences in this world and in this lifetime, because they have a support system that says whatever you dream you can become, you can become. And I'm here to support you to it and through it. You know, there are brilliant lawyers and judges and doctors that we are giving birth to that never get to become the lawyers and doctors that they were destined to become. There are treasures in jars of clay. We've got to invest in ourselves and in our children and in our communities and make a difference in attitudes and the way that people think. You know, someone wrote on Facebook, what if George Zimmerman's son comes up dead? I cringe at the thought of that. This isn't about really an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. This is about understanding that, you know, our power is beyond the muscle. It's beyond weaponry. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, and we ought not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities and spiritual wickedness in high places. This is a high place fight. This is a fight that requires us to back up, consider all things, pray, get girded up, and really begin to allow the Holy Spirit to operate in us, to make the kind of changes necessary to change this world, because it's in a very bad place. It gets better, it gets better, it gets better, but we have an opportunity to make a difference in this world. You know, who would have ever thought that a black man could run for the president of the United States and actually get there? How many people would have laughed at the notion if their kids said to them, Mommy, one day I'm going to be the president, being a little black boy, a little black girl. And you go, are you? And not take it serious. Well, take it serious. Whatever it is that your child or you desire to do in this lifetime, take it serious and do it. Trayvon's life is not and will not be in vain. There will be a world change following this horrific event. What a special young man he must have been. Because of this, there will be changes, and you will make that change. You'll begin to make it in yourself and in your home, in your household, and in your family. Make the change. Begin to change the way that you think. We can't achieve anything by being angry and hateful and wanting to be in control. Control freaks walking loose. Angry people on the rise, leaving their house every day, waiting for the opportunity to exercise that inner turmoil and anger that does nothing but destroys their life and the person's life that came into contact with that explosive moment in time. George Zimmerman is not a free man. He will never be a free man. He's a free prisoner is what he is. I do believe that God is in control and that vengeance belongs to him, and we need to walk away understanding and believing that and resting assured that whatever God's process is for George Zimmerman, it will be. You know, we don't know if it may be to save his soul or if it will be for him to begin to return to him what he has given to the Martin family. And, you know, it's not always the way that we see it. Let God be God, you know. Again, Trayvon, rest in peace, and to your family, may love surround you. May love overtake you. And may peace reign all over your hearts, minds, and souls. And for everyone out there, understand that there are thousands of Trayvon Martins that you just don't get to hear about. Understand that. But for some reason, this particular time, this particular young man, this trial, this murder, became a worldwide topic, leaving George Zimmerman the most hated man in the world right now. So let your voice count. Stand up, raise up, and make a difference in your community. Become all that you can be. Be a positive light. Be a positive force. Be a vessel of love, you know, and move forward, understanding that you've got to begin to peel away that self-hate that causes you to hate others. On my YouTube channel, I talked about this case 17 months ago when it happened, you know, and many of George Zimmerman's supporters came to my channel, and they were so mean and rude and hateful, and they had some really graphic and horrible things to say about black people, and they thought that George Zimmerman had done the world a favor by exterminating another monkey, by cleaning up the streets of the foulness of black people. It was just crazy. And it wasn't one person, it was many coming to my channel and speaking in that manner. And I always say that, you know, I'm sorry that you hate yourself so much that you can't begin to consider love or have compassion for the next person. It's important that we do that. Don't worry about Zimmerman's freedom. Though it is something to be concerned about, trust me when I tell you, he's not free. He'll never be free. He'll never be free. He's got God to impress, and somehow he needs to be able to get to a place to where he can repent. His brother said that he was not remorseful. To be remorseful would mean that he had done something wrong, but he did what was right. And to be remorseful now would mean that what he did before was wrong. So, according to Robert Zimmerman, George Zimmerman did what he thought was right. Okay? And so, with that said, there's no sense in going back and forth in terms of it just wasn't right. It's not a matter of right and wrong. It's not. It's a matter of the criminal justice system and how we can make a difference in what it says and how murder trials are conducted moving forward, because this has been a setup from the very beginning. To the jurors, I hope you rest well, knowing that you've done the right thing, if in fact you've done the right thing, because at the end of the day, you've got to understand that had it been your son, you'd have a very different perspective. So I pray for all of you that you have peace in your decision making. I think it was a mistake, a huge mistake. But again, whatever the verdict is, and the verdict is not guilty, God will take it from here. Thanks for listening. I am Sonya Ward from Harmony Success Solutions. Find me at www.sonyawardempowers.com. Thank you so much. If you like my channel, please subscribe to it. And if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. God bless you all.